Hi guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be book recommendations. Reading is one of those things that became extremely popular due to TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. If you were never a reader, you can get into it. There's so many different book communities that it's honestly one of the easiest hobbies I think to get into because it does offer such variety. But anyway, with that being said, let's just get right into this video. I'm gonna be starting off with book recommendations that are easy to read, easy to understand, easy to get into, just all around good reads, and some of my favorite books. So the first book that I have here is my most favorite book in the whole wide world. It is a YA dystopian book. It's called Legend and it's by the author Marie Lu. This is kind of a dystopian romance subplot book, which basically means that the romance isn't the main focus of the book, but it is in there somewhere and it helps the main plot along. So this is about a girl named June who works for the government. She is their prodigy, she's their darling, she's amazing. Basically, she can do no wrong. She is their best student and she gets recruited to work for this government in this world. It takes place in Los Angeles, California, which is a newer Los Angeles, Republic of America, not United States of America. They have very big class divides, so there are very poor people and very rich people, and there's kind of no in between. And they get tested based on their intelligence. All of the sectors is what they're called. You get tested based on their intelligence, and if there's, it's like the SATs or the ACTs, they get tested in that type of standardized testing situation. And they get placed into schools, military academies, stuff like that based off of their scores on these tests. And this book is about a girl who got a perfect score and a boy who got a 0. It's dual point of view, so you get both Day, which is the boy who got a 0 on his test, and June, which is the one who got 100% on her test. And it's dual point of view and it is first person. But literally the first line in this book is from Day's point of view, and it is, "My mother thinks I'm dead," which is an amazing hook. Marie Lu is very good at that. In this book, June's older brother is killed and Day is the #1 suspect for it. She gets recruited by the government to find him because it's her brother and they want someone working closely with it. This is one of my most favorite books and my most recommended book ever. And I honestly think it's not super popular, or at least it was when dystopian was a big era. Now it's not so much, everything is all fantasy now, but I still do love this book, and I would recommend this to anyone that asks about YA dystopian or just books in general. The next book that I have is Renegades by Marissa Meyer. This is a YA sci-fi. This book is set in a America where the superheroes, they're called the Renegades, are in charge of the entire country basically, and they work to protect this country, and the anarchists, which are the villains in this story, work to kind of bring them down. They're their competition basically. And Nova is a young girl who is a part of the anarchists group. Their goal is to take down the Renegades, and they task her with doing it from the inside. The Renegades has this program where they test people, they call them prodigies, and these prodigies get recruited and trained inside the Renegades like headquarters, and they basically send Nova off to go be recruited by the Renegades and be a part of one of their teams to find villains basically. And there is also a romance subplot in this. This is a lot more subplot than Legend is, but it is still an aspect. It's very subtle. The next book that I have to show you is Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson. This is a YA fantasy book. This is an enemies to lovers YA romance. It is a romantasy is what the term is, which is very fun to say, romantasy. But it is about Kazi, who works for the queen of this kingdom, and she is a notorious thief, and the queen recruits her, and she works as one of the queen's protectors and closest confidant. She has a team of a few other, they're called Ratans, I think is how you say that. I don't know. Ratans? Rotten? Not entirely sure how to say it. But they are tasked with finding the most notorious criminal. His name is the Captain, and he basically was the reason for a huge war. And the queen sends Kazi and the other people in her group off to a place called Tor's Watch, which is a settlement that is not recognized by the kingdom and is instead governed by an outlawed family who believe that they are the most important family. She runs into the leader while she's there, and there's a little bit of a romantic aspect there. I actually finished reading this not too long ago, so I have very high praise for this book right now, but even then I can attest that one of my very best reader friend, Sarah, she loves this book, and hopefully you will too. There are a lot of secrets and lies in this book, which is always super fun, and it is a typical fantasy where there is a lot of politics in it, but it's not heavy to the point where you don't understand what's going on. I understood what was going on this is a bit of a bigger book. I think it's 500 pages, but it's very good. The next book that I have is called Instant Karma, also by Marissa Meyer. She's the same author who wrote Renegades. This is a YA romance. It's just a YA romance. It's kind of like a rivals to lovers romance. It's about a high school girl named Prudence who lives in a coastal town, and she works at this rescue center. She wakes up one morning and realizes that she can grant people instant karma and basically give them like good or bad karma. She ends up having to spend a lot of time with a high school boy named Quint, who also works at the research center, and they have a little bit of a back and forth thing, and it's just very cute, very sweet, easy to read romance. I think I read it in like 1 or 2 days, honestly, on the beach, which is the best place to read, but it is a very good book. The last YA book that I have to show you is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is a YA mystery, but also subplot romance. This one is about a girl named Avery who inherits a huge, and when I'm saying like huge, I mean humongous, billions and billions of dollars from a man that she's never met. The only catch being that she has to live in his house. Obviously the man is dead. She has to live in this man's house with his still living family for an entire year. And they're all angry at her because obviously he gave her all the money, all of his assets, his house, everything he owns, and not them. So she basically wants to know why, and the man that left her the money has left clues. So there are a lot of puzzles in this book, which are super fun to read. I did really enjoy this book because it was a book that the characters didn't know what was going on, so it wasn't like you were out of the loop as a reader, you were figuring it out with them, which is very enjoyable. And this was a super easy read. It was super fast paced. It was honestly like I feel like I kind of flew through this book when I was reading it, and I still really enjoyed it, and I still picked up on it. All the characters are great. Like I said, this is a very easy read. It is YA mystery. It's also helpful to get into the mystery genre because the puzzles in this book are very easy to understand and you kind of figure it out with the characters. So like I said, it's not like you're confused the whole time. You are confused, but so are the characters. You don't feel alone. The next set of books that I have to recommend you guys are all adult books. I have a collection of contemporary adult romances to show you. This is Emily Henry's current set of books. She did also just come out with a book called Funny Story, which is, I think, in the world with these, but I obviously haven't read it yet. But these are all adult contemporary romances. The first one we have is Happy Place. This is about a couple, Harriet and Wynne, and they were engaged and they have broken up in the beginning of this book, and they have to go on vacation with their friends and pretend like they're still together. And in this book you get alternating chapters of when they were together and when they're apart. The whole time you're trying to figure out why they had ever broken up and how they're gonna get back together. People We Meet on Vacation is a book about Alex and Poppy who have nothing in common. They share a car ride home from college one day, and every summer they take a week of vacation together. And basically something gets ruined and they have to make amends, pretty much. And they have a week to do it because they're on vacation. Beach Read is about Augustus and January, who are complete opposites, but they're both authors, but they write very different genres. And for 3 months they have to live in beach houses that are right next to to each other. And the premise of this book is they make a deal to write one book in each other's genres for each other because they both have writer's block. Book Lovers is about Nora and Charlie, and they end up being thrown together for multiple different occasions, and some things start. I don't know much about what Funny Story is about. I know a lot of people are loving it right now, but I'm not entirely sure what it's about, so I can't really speak on it. These books are contemporary romances. They're super easy to read, super fast. They are, like I said, adult romances. They have super fun covers and everything. Like their covers don't match their spines, which is odd, but these book covers are also look really fun and pretty because their covers don't match their spines. I'm sure you've seen them places. Emily Henry is very popular, and for good reason. Her books are very good. I have another author to show you. This is a couple of Ali Hazelwood's books. She writes a lot of STEM romances. They're STEM contemporary romances. I personally love her. I love her so much. I also love Emily Henry, but if I had to pick, I would choose Ali Hazelwood over Emily Henry. I'm so sorry, it had to be said. The only ones that I have here with me are 3, but I have read The Love Hypothesis, Love on the Brain. They are arch enemies, academic rivals to lovers type situation, and she gets a job in the same place as him, in the same lab. I believe it's for NASA, and basically the people at her job don't take her super seriously, and she thinks that he's making the situation worse. So they end up getting into it a lot, like fighting and stuff, and then they spend more time together, so that's fun. My most favorite. Love Theoretically is about Jack and Elsie. Elsie is a adjunct professor, so she teaches at a lot of different schools, and she also participates in fake dating as a job to pay for school and stuff. Jack runs the physics department at MIT, and Elsie is trying to get a job there, like tenure at MIT, and she runs into Jack because he is on the board to decide if she gets a job or not. Jack is the older brother of one of her reoccurring clients, so they know each other, but he doesn't know her as Elsie the physicist. He knows her as Elsie, his little brother's girlfriend. So The Love Hypothesis is about Olive and Adam. They both work at the same lab, and Olive's best friend is trying to set her up with some guys, and Olive is trying to tell her that she's dating someone, which isn't true. And to prove her point, she just kisses the first man that she can see, which is a guy that's proven to be difficult. And he ends up deciding that he wants to keep their little charade, and it's the fake dating trope, which is a fan favorite. This is Loathe to Love You by Ali Hazelwood. This is a collection of 3 interconnected short stories, and they were all very good. The first one is called Under One Roof. It's about an environmental engineer who discovers that she has to live with a guy that works at a company that she despises. Stuck With You is about a girl who is about a symbol engineer who gets stuck in an elevator with one of her biggest rivals. And Below Zero is about a NASA employee who gets stuck outside in like snow blizzard, and her enemy has to come and rescue her. This is honestly, I think, one of the easiest contemporary romances to read because they're just short stories, so they're like 100 pages each, and you don't have to be super invested in the characters to enjoy this book. So I would honestly highly recommend this one if you're trying to get into contemporary romance. It is adult. Like I said, all these are adult romances, but this is probably a little bit easier to read because you don't have to read all of them, and you don't feel like you have this huge book to read. You just have like 100 pages to read at a time. All of Emily Henry and Ali Hazelwood's books are good options to get into contemporary adult romance because they're all very fast paced. They're all very good reads. They're different but similar, so I would highly recommend these 2 authors if you're looking for adult contemporary romance books. The book that I recommend is Adult Fantasy. This is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This was very, very popular last year, and even this year, I think. Just a very popular book all around. This is about a girl named Violet this is about a kingdom where everyone is put into a category and they go to school to learn and perform in that category and perfect their trade. And Violet, the main character, wants to become a scribe, and her mom is like, no, you have to become a dragon rider, because her mom is the big lady in charge. Commanding general is what it's called. And Violet is very small and fragile and and dragons are hard to bond with, and she kind of gets picked on a little bit for it. And Xaden is someone who she kind of butts heads with a lot. Xaden is someone who she kind of like butts heads with a lot at school, and they're kind of like rivals to lovers type situation. This is also romantasy, which is again fun to say. Her time at school training to be a dragon rider, she finds a lot of things out about the war that's going on outside of their kingdom, and there's a lot of secrets and lies and romance, which is exciting. And all around just a good read, but the politics are prominent but not annoying and hard to understand. And this is also the fantasy book that I would recommend for people that want to get into fantasy, because it is very easy to follow, because there's not a very big like magic system with tons of extra parts, but it's honestly, like I said, the book that I would recommend for people that want to get into fantasy, but it is adult fantasy. And the last book that I have to recommend is just one of my most recent favorite books. It is a romance, but it's also a magical realism, contemporary romance, contemporary fantasy, I guess is maybe what you would call that. I don't know. Magical realism, I think, is the actual like umbrella term for it. And it is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. It's about a girl named Clementine who inherits an apartment from her late aunt, and when she goes there, she finds a man that she doesn't know standing in her kitchen. They kind of talk a little bit, and she realizes that there's something really off about him, and that he's from 7 years in the past and she is from 7 years in the future. So the apartment exists in 2 times at once. It's a little bit insta-lovey, but it's very fast paced, and it's a very heartwarming type of book. I think about soulmates and the invisible string theory, and I know that's a lot of people really enjoy that type of situation, so that's why I put it in this list, because I think that it's a very sweet book, and again, a very easy book to read. With all that being said, I hope you guys got something out of this video. I hope you guys will maybe read one of these books that I've recommended, and hopefully you'll really enjoy them the same way that I did, and hopefully you'll become a reader, because that was the main goal. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and like I said, I hope you guys took something from this video, and comment down below if you read any of these books and you loved them, so that other people watching this video can understand like just how good they are. And also comment down below if you're gonna read any of these books, so that we can talk about it, we can chat about it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye! Mwah!